pee out your eyes. Go ahead and say good morning and tell them who we are and why we're alive, and I will be right here. Try to make this better. People are gonna figure out why you ain't talking to me.
I just woke up
Daylight savings time.
and it's daylight saving time.
Good morning. Who are you?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tim. I'm one of the five that moved from the coast to the Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee,
Is that better?
and
Is that better?
it's a little bit better. Amber, she's been working on lighting today.
Good morning. Hey, how are you?
Mm.
Yeah, so it's daylight savings time, and it's not really 8 o'clock that we're supposed to go live with coffee. It's actually 7 o'clock, and it's dark, and it's rainy, it's cloudy, so we don't have any light. And if you're tuning in for the very first time, I always apologize in advance. And you're in our kitchen having coffee with us in the mountains here of East Tennessee. Good morning, Sherry. How are you, sister? We've had nasty rain all night long. Well, not nasty. It's not nasty. We need rain. But clouds and dark, and that does not make a good combination for going live. But it always makes a good combination for coffee. Mm. Good morning. What is today? Help me out here, y'all.
Well, it's
February,
Sunday.
no, March. Oh, that's how out of it I am. I'm not even ready for
February.
church, y'all. I got to get my stuff together. Does anybody else not like daylight savings time? Why do we still have it? There is so much speculation as to why it started. It was because of the wars. It was because of the farmers. It was because of school. Why? Why do we still do this? Is it a thing? Should it be a thing? I don't think so. Good morning, Michelle. How are you, sister? Michelle, how is it in South Carolina? As always, Timmy has not been um, prior informed. Is that how you say it? Informed prior to us going live about what we're talking about today.
Yeah, what are we talking
We
about?
used to just, and we still do. We just shoot from the hip. But sometimes there's something on my heart I want to talk about. We're going to talk about the art of bartering, homestead bartering.
Yay.
What is wrong with you? Well, and I don't want to jump into it too quick, but there's a lot going on in the world right now with our money, our currency. Oh, I didn't tell you about the Silicon Valley Bank, like the second largest bank in history to collapse.
Really?
History, yeah. And I don't know if people were funneling money through it, but like between the 2018 and 2022, I'll go into 23. They have or no 22. They had the largest like influx of deposits ever, and then they misappropriated those funds and investments. And now they're done. They used to have like at the largest $61 billion get deposited there, and then all of a sudden it was like 181 billion. It's like it tripled in record time, and then all of a sudden the money's poof.
Gone.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But anyhow,
Kind of like the gas disappeared that time.
yeah, Silicon Valley Bank, if that tells you anything, Silicon Valley. But a lot's been going on with our money, and we're so in debt, and they keep printing off billions and trillions. Well, I don't know if they're printing off trillions. We're trillions in debt. And they just proposed another budget that would increase our debt by another 1.6 trillion, if I'm remembering this correctly, in the next year. So where are we getting this money from? They just Oh, Lord have mercy. Good morning.
I can't wrap my head around that stuff.
I can't either. They did a visual of what, $1 billion looked like or what $1 trillion looked like, and they had a human standing next to a pallet of cash, and then you just saw the pallets go on for a long period of time. But yeah,
I think they could just print off one big bill with a bunch of zeros on it.
Yeah, so when we moved away from the gold standard, all that kind of stuff went downhill, and now, you know, you guys, if you're Bitcoin or Bitcoin, however you want to say, if you're fans of that, that's great. It's still digital. They still control it. I've been frozen out of my account before. I'm not a fan, and it just like the stock market, it goes up and down, and I've lost money and I've made money on it. And I don't feel it's secure at all. If you think that's the secure way to go, you're crazy because it's all digital. They can steal it, they can freeze it, they can control it. There's nothing secure about that.
Yeah.
And of course, you got to claim it on your taxes and everything because I get that cute little form from my digital wallet telling me that I got to turn that joker into the IRS. So that's definitely not going. Oh yeah, it's safe money from tax. No, it's not. No, there ain't no safe money. That's why I wanted to talk about bartering
Okay.
because bartering is something that I'm very familiar with, and I have at least, I would guess to say, close to 40 years experience in bartering. Close.
Really?
Yeah, Queen Barter right here.
Oh yeah.
I don't know about Queen Barter, but I have a lot of experience in it. Let's put it that way. And we together, we bartered something. Where are you going?
Yeah, pigs and dogs
No,
and
go back further. Go back to Polly's. Where's some things that we bartered? Golf, vacations. We used to barter vacations all the time.
you're right.
Beach vacations,
Mm.
nice vacations.
Yeah, yeah.
We did that all the
Yeah.
time.
And the golf.
Heck yeah, we were good at bartering, and it's like the oldest form of exchange currency there is. And of course, the government wants to control that too because I used to belong in a group. Massages, um, we bartered massages, dinners, like restaurant certificates and all that.
I didn't have a barter, no massage.
I did.
Where was I?
You didn't want her to give you a massage. It was Elizabeth.
Well, it makes a lot of sense, too.
No, well, I mean, I would give them away as gifts because I painted her office. You don't remember that? Anyways, we used to belong to this thing back in South Carolina called Biz to Biz, and it was a great concept. You had to register as a business,
Mm.
and it was, I don't know if it was a national group. I know it was at least statewide, and you put down your services that you had to offer, and you could either directly change with a business that was in the group, exchange like service for service, or you could provide services and build up your biz to biz bank account, your bartering bank account. And a lot of times that one went dollar for dollar, but then the government stepped in and wanted everybody to claim their bartering stuff on their taxes. And it for me, I tapped out because I'm like, I'm spending money through businesses that I typically wouldn't spend, but I'm only doing it because we're bartering and supporting each other's business. I'm like, hey, why not? Like personally, me, I would never spend $85 to get a massage ever, ever. I mean, I think they're a great thing. Don't get me wrong. I just don't have that kind of money. So, but when the person wanted painting done in their office, and I did that for a living, I'm like, shoot, I'd like a massage. That's a luxury I could never otherwise afford. And then I gave them out as gifts. The people really did appreciate them. But after, Big Brother wanted me to claim it on my taxes as income earned and spent, I'm like, no, 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 sorry. So technically, y'all, here's my disclaimer. I guess you're supposed to claim every bartering thing. I don't care what you do in your personal life, but that's the law. Just so you know, you should claim all your bartering adventures on your taxes. There we go.
Huh.
I'm going to have a sip of coffee on that one. But this is what got me thinking too, the collapse of the bank and all everybody freaking out and then about our currency and how far in debt we are and we're defaulting on those debts. But yeah, we're printing out money and sending it overseas. If anybody can explain that math to me in the future, I greatly appreciate it. Where do we get this money if we're so stinking far in debt? But yet we're telling our, seniors with their Social Security we're running out. We're telling our mothers for WIC, women, infant, and children, get this. You remember that program?
Yeah.
WIC? It provides good food for women, infants, and children. It doesn't give them just money to spend. It provides them grains like beans, lentils, cereal, cheese, milk, bread, juice, baby formula. They might have increased some of those items, but back in the day, that's what it was. And I got WIC. I needed it. Our family needed it, and we qualified. So anyhow, the Biden administration just said they're reducing the milk and everything. They're giving a WIC. So they're reducing the food and nutritional stuff that they're giving to women, infants, and children because we ran out of money. So like seriously, the next news article was we're sending 10 billion more over to Ukraine, and I'm like, okay, so I can't make sense of that.
Well, it's frustrating
when you're reading it, and you're an American, you pay taxes, good taxes. And I say good taxes. Taxes aren't good. Taxation is stuff, but we pay a lot of money to taxes, and we're like what 10% here in Tennessee, their sales tax, but that's not our state or anything, other taxes that we get taxed, but that's just our sales tax. But it started me thinking last night. We went to the grocery store, and we don't go, but what, once every 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Not very often. Once every 2 weeks, I think. Maybe more, maybe less sometimes, depending on doctor's appointments and all that. And it was $185. I don't know what we spent it on. We dang sure didn't get meat and stuff. Oh, no, I got breakfast meat because we didn't have a whole lot of that. And I'm laying in bed going, wow, that's $185. And I'm like, how much of that can we just produce here on our own homestead without having to buy it? I mean, so I was trying to think of what we bought.
Yeah.
Toilet paper. And I have an article about things to do without toilet paper. But until that, like in an emergency, if you don't have toilet paper, when we had all those outages, until that moment arises, I'll still be buying my toilet paper. Coffee. I can't make coffee yet. I can roast my coffee, which I do. Can't grow the coffee beans. So that was a big one. What else? What other kind of things did we get last night?
Well,
do you remember?
We could definitely bake our own bread.
We didn't buy bread.
I know, but...
Okay, so let's go back again. Can we make our own bread? What does it take to make
Not
bread?
Really.
We don't grow wheat.
No.
We don't grow rice. We don't grow almonds. We don't grow walnuts. All the different things that you can make flour to make bread. So, but anyhow, that's kind of where my mind starts thinking at night. I'm laying in bed thinking about our expenses and the bank and the money and the fiat system and all of that stuff and what we need as a homestead to survive that we don't produce here. Well, as far as let's go to the art of bartering, and because some people just don't know how to do it. They don't know how to ask, first of all, and they don't know how to properly, and I'm not writing the rules on this. This is just my thought process. Because we still do it a lot. And yes, I claim it on my taxes, sure. And anyways, since we've moved here, we bartered livestock for hay. We were supposed to barter livestock for excavation services. That didn't quite happen. We bartered a lot of my products that I make for other services. Again, massages with Carmela and just, gosh, there's just been so much. I can't even wrap my head. 10, we bartered services with Tommy. And I'm trying to think of what else. Not so much here is back in South Carolina because we just haven't been out as much. But I'm not opposed to it. And I have people, when I want something, this is what I'll do. Say I see something on Facebook Market and I want it. And I'll inquire if it's available. Now, I don't typically ever approach somebody if I don't have the cash to pay for it. Like I just don't come right out the bat. I'm broke and don't have no money and I'm going to ask this person if I can have it. I don't do that. But typically I have the money. But if I can save a dime and I've got something they want and that helps both of us out, heck to the yes. So we actually have a group called East Tennessee Bartering something or other, and you put on there what you're looking for, and you put on there what you have, what services you have to offer. And I did that. I put down we need gravel, we need excavation service, we need drain tiles, we need, things. I need roofing tin. I just put it all on there. And then I put down on there what we had of value to barter and what the value was of it, like the dollar amount. And somebody contacted me and they said, we want hogs. We have an excavation service. And I'm like, perfect. Here's what's not a perfect situation, though, is when you are trying to barter dollar for dollar. Because, especially if you're on the wanting end of it. For instance, our hogs that they wanted, we've raised for almost 2 years. And that is twice a day, every day, 365 days for 2 years of caring for these animals. And in rain, snow, mud, it doesn't matter. Twice a day, every day for 2 years. That's 1,400 days. I can't even quantify how many hours that is. And let's not even forget how much money in feed that is for 2 years. And their services that they wanted to barter was 10 hours, 1 day of work. And that's where you have to get, because they wanted to do kind of like dollar for dollar. And when it comes to bartering, to me, that isn't a fair deal. Like if we're selling and buying, then yes, I get it. It's dollar for dollar. But when you're bartering service for service or something, you don't necessarily always do dollar for dollar. You like what I want versus what you want. Like I would have been much better with that deal had I said, we need a a drain ditch dug all the way down our driveway and all the way to the front. That's what we need. And they said, okay, great. I want your hogs. We'll do this. And we're not counting hours. We're not counting dollars. And that's what we'll do. To me, that is a fair bartering exchange, right? One of the other things that I'm not a fan of is I had someone contact us recently this week, wanted one of our livestock guardian dogs for free. And they were born October 10th.
Yeah.
Again, we're with them at least, we feed them twice a day, but we're with them more than that. Now we're beginning the training this week. And then when that happens, the price goes up. And the love, attention, and care, not alone the feeding when they were puppies, because oh my stars, Athena is a horrible mom. And that's why she's getting sick. But anyhow, they didn't approach me for wanting to barter. They just wanted her. They didn't say, or wanted him. They didn't say, I'll bake bread. I have this to offer. I don't have money. Are you interested in bartering? They didn't do any of that stuff. And I would have been. You gonna chime in here, Joker?
Well, they just wanted a free dog.
They just wanted a free dog. And then so I talked about it with Timmy, and then we prayed about it. That they were going on, oh, well, she would provide them a good home. And then I'm like, well, the 10's 10. Are they familiar with the breed? If they can't afford the dog, how can they afford food and vet bills? And, oh, well, they can afford that. They just can't afford to pay you. And so we talked about it. And we were selling our puppies for $300 a piece, which to me is a great deal. And because trained, papered livestock guardian dogs go for thousands. And our dogs come from a really good breed. We are so phenomenally happy with our Great Pyrenees. Tell them what they did last week. Tell them what Tyr did last week. What did? Oh, first of all, Tyr is Athena and Aslan's son that Gavin was supposed to adopt, but it's Timmy's dog.
Yeah, Tyr, he's always looking at me, or whoever's right there with him, he's almost like he's waiting on you to tell him to do something. That's just the type of dog he is. And he's very aware of what's going on. So one of the little pigs got out, and I was trying to corral him and get him to go back in, and every time I would go towards him, he would run the other way. anyway, Tear came up, and it's amazing to see a dog work like that because they just seem to know exactly what to do. And he was able to take that little pig and guide
And
him
hurt them.
and hurt him right back in the
Hmm.
fence. And I stood there at amazement, and seeing that, it makes it all worth you know having those type of dogs.
Well, it's funny because Timmy came inside and he was just, I love Tear.
Yeah.
And he's like, he goes, Gavin sure did miss out on a great dog because Tear's such a good dog. And they're just a good, loyal breed. And so we have a lot of quality. We feel that they have a lot of value because they're a high quality animal, especially for the homestead and protecting us. Like when they brought us that coyote jaw, and I was just so happy with them. And because that's one more less predator on our land, and then they got to eat. So um, but anyhow, I talked with Timmy and I said, I tell you what, I said, we're going to tell them that before they pick up the dog, they need to have a 40-pound bag of food and they need to have the vaccines if they choose to do that, because that's not something we're providing extra for a free dog, and a $50 adoption fee. And what did I tell you we were going to do with the adoption fee?
Oh, just give it back to them.
No, I said more than that. I said when they show up and I see that they're sincere.
Yeah, we were gonna let them keep it, but
Yeah, I wanted to see if they were sincere about wanting to earn the dog, and there was three families that were together in this little arrangement. So I'm like, surely between the three of them, they can come up with $50 if they're really sincere about getting this dog. And when they show up, and I said, if I feel good about the situation, I'm going to tell her to keep the $50 for food or vets or, vaccine or whatever they need for the dog. I said, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to tell him I'm going to do this. And then, so I messaged him and I felt really good. It's $250 off the asking price, basically giving the dog away. And she's like, nope, that's too much. Sorry. I'm like, all right. Okay. Now that's not a good deal. That's not a bartering deal. And they had no idea what my intentions were, but I knew from that reaction, I'm done. Okay. That is not the Lord's intent for those puppies. However, that doesn't mean if you are in a position where you need or want something, like they are getting goats or something and they needed a livestock guardian dog, where it hurts to ask somebody. And I've done this a bunch of times. I've messaged somebody about, oh, I know, we bartered Dollywood tickets for a puppy.
sure
Puddin for
did.
part of it,
Yeah.
not the whole thing, but Puddin was like $700 and something dollars. I'm like, I don't have 700. And I told her, I said, I am interested. I'm not going to ask you to take less because I don't want to be rude or disrespectful. But I said, are you interested in bartering? And she's like, what you got? So then I gave her a slew of things. I'm like, I make all my products. We've got pigs, we got chickens, we got goats, I said, Dollywood tickets. And she was, oh, we've been wanting to take our family to Dollywood. And I'm like, perfect. So she took the value of the price off. Well, part of it, not all of it. It wasn't dollar for dollar. Part of it off. And she goes, how about I get 3 tickets from you and I take $200 off or something like that. And I'm like, awesome. That's a working bartering deal, and I love it. And we were both happy with it. And then we got Puddin wherever she is. I'm surprised you don't hear her name being called. But and if you think you don't have something of worth bartering, you're crazy. And don't feel intimidated about asking. You're not being a bum. You're trying to provide a service or a product people need for what you want. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're going to see a lot more of that in the future. Mark my words.
Yeah.
It's going to go back to that. Country folks do it all the time. Shoot, we were in the city and we did it all the time. When I was married to Bruce, I did it all the time. No offense. When I was married to Bruce, Gavin's dad, biological father and dad, we had a karate school. We bartered chiropractor appointments. We bartered vacations. We bartered all sorts of stuff, services that we needed, mechanics, because he didn't do that kind of thing. And it worked, and we bartered it for our karate lessons. So there's things, I'm just teasing you, that you always have a value. So start making a list, especially if there's things that you want or need done, and don't just go online and ask for things for free. That drives me crazy. Obviously, if you're in need, pray about it. Let your church family know about it. There's too many scammers out there online constantly doing that kind of stuff with some made up heartfelt story. But come up with a list of things that you can do that you can barter for. And when you're asking someone for something that you want, you are more, chances are that you'll probably give a little bit more than you're going to get as far as dollar for dollar. But when someone comes to you, it works out because it's the reverse, if that makes any sense. For instance, boop, boop, here you go. Say Timmy's got this cup of coffee and the value of it is $10, especially if you go to one of those frou-frou places. But I have this spoon and the value of it is only $1. And I really want coffee and he really needs a spoon because he can't, or turn that around. He really needs a spoon because he can't stir his coffee. And it's only $1, but I want coffee.
I'll trade you.
So yeah, the dollar value isn't the same, but he really wants my spoon. And I want his coffee, but I don't have to have it. I got my own sometimes. So he will trade his $10 coffee for my $1 spoon because he's the one that wants my spoon. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you?
Well, I can't stir my coffee now.
Well, I got my spoon in my coffee. I always do. But that's kind of the whole bartering thing. It's not necessarily dollar for dollar when you're wanting the service from somebody else or product or whatever. But it evens out when it goes in reverse and somebody wants something from you. And that's kind of how that bartering scale is. And you can't keep track of dollar for dollar either, but you don't want to take advantage of. I have found though, and this is another thing to be careful of, when people ask me for something, then they offer something in return, a lot of times they value their stuff way up here and our stuff way down here. And that's not a good deal. If you feel bad about it or it makes you feel undervalued, that's not a good trade either. Oh, and another thing, a tip, when you're bartering, don't barter for down the road. Barter for that moment. Because if you're bartering, if you give somebody something and you don't get what you need right in return, chances are that you're never going to get it. Yeah, they're never going to, especially if it's a labor service and when they have time, they're never going to have time. They're never going to come back. They're never going to finish the project. It has to be right then and there. You don't ever barter for down the road. And don't ever leave it open. It's like, say I have a burn barrel and somebody wants it and they want to know what I want. Oh, I'll let you know later. I don't need nothing right now. I'll hit you up later. That's not a good barter either at all. Because later they could be going, hey, yeah, I need my barn raised. You want to come over for a whole week and help me put this building up? We can use your burn barrel. They got to burn the scrap. But we are going to see a lot more of that. And I'm going to try to reach out to our local community and do that more too. Oh, wait a minute. Kat and Rain at the Prepper Group meetings, they had a little bartering thing at the end of it. Yeah. A lot of people, which was super cool concept. I love that they're doing that locally. At the very end of the meeting, everybody brought their stuff, their goods, their wares, or whatever from their home. It was never anything extravagant. Garden seeds, bread, some produce from the garden, books. I brought my soaps and stuff, and people just sat there and exchanged like a little market. Yeah. And it was so cool to see them interacting like that and exchanging goods for goods. I love it. Yeah. Love it. Yeah. We need to get back to that. So if you don't think that you have something to barter, first of all, you're mistaken. Secondly, you need to get a notepad and a list out and start creating things. You can barter, scobies from your kombucha, Sherry. Those are great things to barter. Cuttings from your trees. If you do elderberry cuttings, like my friend Sherry just gave us this week. Sourdough starter, your soaps, labor. Can you clean? Can you clean a house? Gosh, wouldn't we want to barter for something like that? Can you muck stalls? Can you do any type of physical labor? If you can't do physical labor, what about babysitting? I have a friend right now that has 2 children that is desperately searching for a babysitter. And he is a carpenter. He's a mechanic. He can do landscaping. He has all these amazing services, and he would be happy to barter service for something like that. Yeah. So keep that in mind when you're moving forward with the whole, bartering on your homestead concept. and what you feel that you have of value. And I'll try to, I mean, we were just randomly, I was randomly babbling, trying to, I didn't plan any of these topics, as far as the tips and stuff. So if I have more, I'll try to come up with them. And, or if you've got some bartering tips, put them in the comment section. Do you have any?
No, I'm good, man. I'm out of breath.
But no, I did. We're getting ready to get hay again. We need hay. And didn't we talk to Sam before about bartering? Asked him if he needed if he. Oh, I did. I said, by any chance, do you know anybody that needs a livestock guardian dog? And I don't remember if we had the hogs available then or not. And but had he said yes, I would have bartered hay for one of our puppies.
Yeah.
Provided they go to a good home.
Yeah.
I'm not a tyrant, but just put it out there to the world when you need something. And it can be things like, oh, I never in a million years would think that anybody would, if you need your house pressure washed, put that out there, offer the services that you have. And it might not always be a free barter. Like, for instance, when we got Clinton, it was a partial barter. It was partial free stuff and partial cash. So, that's a way to do it too. It doesn't always have to be the whole thing. That way they're still walking a little bit of do-re-mi in their pocket and you got a discount,
Yeah.
But anyhow, that's it. That's all I got on homestead bartering.
All right.
Oh, wait. I want to call this bartering. Wait, it wasn't bartering, so to speak. I guess it was kind of. But when we had all of our chickens and they were in full production before the coyotes or bobcat or coon or whatever fox came and destroyed them all, it was like 65 in one afternoon. And it was a lot. It was a bloodbath. And anyhow, before that, we were getting 3-4 dozen eggs a day.
We were getting a lot.
A lot of eggs.
Yeah.
And we couldn't sell them because we moved out of our target customer demographic. So what I ended up doing was I talked to our pastor, and we're not allowed to sell anything in our church, and I respect that church for that. But we took them to church and put them on the table, and they were free, but we asked for a tithing donation. So we bartered our eggs for our tithes to church. We had money invested in it. It's not like we did anything wrong.
Yeah,
I mean, we had a lot of money invested in those eggs.
Yeah, I'm sure God's seen that.
Well, had I sold them, it would have been the same thing. I would have taken the money and given it to the church. But yeah, so we took our eggs, and some of them took them without anything, and that's fine. Others took them and paid more than I would have charged, and they just put it in the tithing box of church. And I thought that was a great little barter.
Yeah, that was good.
Teasing me. Yeah. Bartering with God. But anyhow, all right. I'm sorry, you were so quiet. I was someone talking.
This was your topic, and I really...
Next week it's all about Timmy.
It is?
Sure, why not?
What about?
Whatever you want to talk about.
Okay.
Or y'all can come up with a subject.
Yeah.
You plan on what you want to talk about.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah,
I'll just sit back on the other side.
We'll talk about that time I slammed my thumb in the door.
Let's not talk about that. All right, y'all have a blessed Sunday. Make sure you go around reset all of those clocks that you got that are wrong, like all of our clocks.
Yeah, it's gonna take some getting used to, but
All right.
Thanks for putting up with us.
All right, bye, y'all.